morning, YouTube friends and family, and welcome to today's craft edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, I have been attending this week, by the time you see this video, a virtual conference on wreath making. So, lots of new techniques, different things I haven't tried. I'm really excited about it. So, I was actually looking at my supplies this morning and I thought, you know, perhaps it's time I get this wreath made so that I don't have extra things that I really don't need hanging around and I can really concentrate on the conference. So I will have attended by the time you watch this, or will be in the midst, but again, it's virtual. So I did a video on how to make this wreath or a wreath similar to it a few weeks ago, and it was like an epic fail because somehow my voiceover got corrupted. So I left the video up, but it wasn't super duper helpful. So today I'm going to show you all the things. So come along, let's make a beautiful wreath. It would be an amazing gift, and it doesn't have to be holiday themed, so stay tuned. So the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to a channel, and I will leave a link below. Hardworking Mom. I began watching her because, as you know, I love all things crafts. She has an amazing store, very reasonable prices, high quality products, much better than Dollar Tree level supplies. So this wreath is actually going to be part of my Christmas decor in my dining room. And what you see before me is a 2-level wreath. Can you see? This is the top, this is the bottom. And around it are what they call pencil ties. It's actually like Christmas tree, artificial Christmas tree ties. So when you compare that to a flimsy pipe cleaner, these are definitely my favorite. Now, I will share that I have found these at Hobby Lobby. However, the problem I've found with Hobby Lobbies is the arrangement of the ties is wrong for the type of wreath I like to do. So they have even numbers, which if you're alternating colors of mesh, will put you, when you get all the way around, putting the same color next to each other. So you can certainly add a pipe cleaner. I have some from Hobby Lobby, and I will probably be doing that for maybe a summer wreath or a simpler wreath. But for this particular wreath, which was a kit, I want to be able to alternate the colors. So as you've probably seen, if you've been on my channel for a while, my dining room is barn red. And at Christmas, I like to do a nod to my favorite grandma. And I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but my grandma Victoria, and her favorite color was pink. And I love the mid-century modern pink and aqua look. And so that's how I do my dining room. And I usually put my aluminum tree and my vintage shiny bright ornaments in the dining room because it's behind the cat gate. And old Hanky Panky Frankie likes to play and chew, etc. All right, so first thing you're going to need is your wreath form with a total of 18 ties. Second thing you're going to need is some Deco poly mesh. Now you can buy this, and Hobby Lobby has it a lot of times half price. This is the 10 yard, so I have a red and white, and then I have a pink Deco mesh, poly mesh with a metallic stripe. So we're going to be cutting these in just a moment to go around the wreath, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's so simple, guys. You will feel like such a pro. Now, you're going to need 4 kinds of ribbon. And again, this kit, I believe, is sold out. But you can buy a lot of the individual supplies on her site, or you can do anything you want. You don't have to do this particular design. So this wreath came with a red and white stripe, a pink with red glittery velvet polka dots, a plain red like a woven, and then this adorable gingerbread pink, red, and white with the little fuzzies on the end. So you're going to need ribbon, and I'm going to tell you how much here as we go along. You are going to need a rotary cutter or scissors. Now, I cut my mesh with a rotary cutter. It's far easier, but I cut my ribbon with scissors. you're going to need a sign. So you want to fill in your mesh, we'll fill in our ribbons, and I'm gonna put a sign either in the middle or off to the side, but this is the one I'm going to put in there, and it says Candyland Express. And it has a gingerbread person driving the little train. It's super cute. I also purchased, in addition to this kit, at Walmart, for $1 each, some candy ornaments that I want to try to work into this. Okay, so in order to attach your sign, you need something to poke a hole through the sign. I have used an awl. This is actually sold on the Hardworking Mom, and it's a little tool that'll make a tiny little hole. You need some 26 gauge wire so that we can wire that sign securely to our wreath. And, oh, you're gonna need some clips to form the curled up ribbons, which is called a woodland ruffle. Now let me share with you, blah, blah. Let me share this with you. These are simply Dollar Tree clothespins. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So let me kind of clear my space off here. I'll get my mesh opened up. I'll show you how to cut it, and then we'll begin assembling the wreath. So Hanky Panky Frankie is like, I helped you with that wreath, Mom. Did you want to say hello to the peoples? Say hello, peoples. Yeah, he like never says a word hardly. He said hello to you one time. Say hello. No? Okay, that was good enough. All right, let me get this camera adjusted here and show you what we are going to do. So what I've done is open my 2 rolls of Deco poly mesh. I have a self-healing cutting mat here, and I've actually layered these one on top of the other to make cutting easier. So what you want to do is you want to cut a total of 18 pieces or 9 double piece cuts to use when we start to fill in the wreath. And we're gonna cut those 34 inches long. So let me just show you here kind of what that looks like. And unfortunately, my cutting mat is only 35 inches long. So I do have to cut right at the edge. And I'm just going to roll the completed cuts off to the side, pull up my next to 34 inches, weight it down with scissors, and continue cutting. So nothing hard about this. I'm sure you've all seen people cut things before. So I'm going to continue, and oh, what I've done is just thrown the 2 rolls over the edge of the counter onto the floor, and they roll out very evenly that way. You can buy a mesh roller, but yeah, this works just fine for me. I've not had a problem with doing it this way. You do need to make sure that your cutter is super duper sharp, because if it isn't, you will just gnaw and fray your mesh. So I do go through quite a few blades. And again, you can use scissors. It's just a little bit harder. And this mesh also wants to stick to itself and everything else. Now, I will also share, if you have on a knit shirt, be very careful, because the mesh is picky and it will pick your shirt. And I haven't ruined anything yet because I tried not to wear anything except like a cotton sweatshirt, but just maybe throw an apron on if that's a problem. Okay. Cutting at an odd angle here, trying not to let that get away from me. So I'm going to keep cutting my mesh until I have 9 double cuts, a total of 18 pieces, and then I will bring you back to show you how we'll start assembling the wreath. So before we start assembling our wreath, I got ahead of myself. We're going to cut our ribbons. So we are going to need 9 pieces of each of 4 ribbons, and I'm going to cut those at a 12-inch length. So what that in effect does is uses 3 yards of ribbon. Now, there is a fancy tool, I think it's called a perfect tail, I don't have it, where you can actually wrap your ribbon around and cut it all at once. But I'm going to use the good old-fashioned way of laying it out and just cutting 9 pieces of each ribbon. And then let me show you, I know you can cut ribbon. I'm going to take each ribbon, fold it in half like this, and I'm going to cut at an angle towards the wire so that it makes a pretty V-point. Now, I didn't share this. You want all your ribbon to be wired, so it's shapeable. That is essential to make your wreath look professional and really, really pretty. So just make sure whatever ribbon you happen to buy, that it does have the wire. And again, watch for sales, guys. I have bought some really beautiful ribbon at Hobby Lobby for half price. Now, you can do something to help your ribbon if it wants to fray, and that is you take a lighter and you simply singe the ends of that ribbon. I'm always afraid the whole wreath will go up in smoke, so I'm going to cut all my ribbons, and then I'll show you how I'm going to singe the ends if it looks like it's going to fray a lot. So far, this one might fray a little bit, so I'm going to keep cutting. I will bring you back when I have all of our ribbons cut, 9 of each of the 4 colors. So now that we have 9 12-inch cuts of all 4 of our ribbons, and I've dovetailed each one, or some people call it fishtailing, you want to make sure if there is a right or a wrong side to your ribbon that you have them all right side up when you get ready to pair. So we are going to use these in groups of 2 when we tie them onto our wreath. So now you have some choices. So we have 2 of the 3-inch wide ribbons, 2 of the 1.5-inch wide ribbons. So the narrow ribbon is going to go on top of the fat ribbon. So do we want to do the stripe with the polka dot, the stripe with the gingerbread? Well, I like it with the polka dot, and I like this red with the gingerbread because it brings out the red that is in the little ginger girl dresses and the little ginger boy bow tie. So just for ease and to make sure I've cut them all correctly, I like to stack them as I'm going to be using them. So as we assemble our wreath, we can just reach over and grab a pair of ribbons, and you can line these up perfectly, but I find I reline them up when I pick them up anyway. But I'm just double checking to make sure everything is right side up. Sometimes ribbons, it doesn't matter, but like on the gingerbread, that's super easy to tell, or on a flocked polka dot, that's super easy to tell. So I think this is looking very festive, very cute. And I hope you guys will give wreath making a try if you have interest. Wow, which way does that go? That goes that way. Okay. It's really not hard, and I was a convert from the very first wreath I made because it's, I think, very relaxing. It isn't complicated. I could actually get through the project without bleeding, although, guys, look. So, these scissors, I learned, will cut left-handed or right-handed. So I thought, oh, super good. So as I was holding the ribbon down, yep, I cut my finger. But normally you do not bleed when you do this project. And there's no hot glue involved. So you also don't have any risk of hot glue burns. Mine on my hand finally healed. Now that took a little bit. All right, so we've got our ribbons paired up. So I will also share these ribbons really shed, as does the mesh. So I have put a little garbage can over here on my kitchen cabinet, and yes, I'm in my kitchen on my island here, and we are going to get ready now to assemble our wreath. So let me do this much. Then I actually have to go run an errand, guys, but I'll be back. You won't miss me. So what I like to do is put the 8 inner ties in towards the middle so you don't get mixed up and grab the wrong thing. And then I'm going to open the 10 outside ties. So this will give you a chance to make sure everything's firmly attached. What do you do if one breaks? Use a pipe cleaner. and you need pretty sturdy pipe cleaners. I have bought the Dollar Tree ones that are just so soft that you can hardly do anything with them, so I don't recommend that. So once you're to this point, I'm gonna push my wreath aside here, and we are going to learn how to do the woodland curl ruffle. Stay tuned. All right, well, let's start working on our mesh curls. So I am just going to take one of my sets of mesh. I'm gonna separate it, and I'm going to put it in the way that it wants to roll up. So I'm weighting down one end with scissors. I have my clips ready, and what you do is you make 1, 2, 3 rolls to make like a curl. Turn it around, and then you're going to do the same thing at the other end. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to go back to the first one. I can tell I didn't get that quite as smooth as I should have, and that's the beauty. You can redo this. 1, 2, 3. Now you're just going to pull with your fingers, push with your thumbs, and you're going to scrunch this all up together. Try to keep it even. Helps because this one's striped. And what you're going to end up with is a bow tie. And at each end of the bow tie is a curl. And this is what we'll be putting on our wreath. So let me show you this. We'll get the pink out here. Again, put your mesh so that it wants to roll up towards you. And it does grab things. And 1, 2, 3. Clip it off, flip it around. 1, 2, 3. Scrunch it up. Flip it off, and we have our second bow tie. Now, you may be asking yourself, can you use the Dollar Tree mesh? And the answer to that is yes. I have made some with Dollar Tree mesh. What I will share is Dollar Tree mesh is generally much finer than the mesh that you're going to get, say, at a craft or hobby store. So just be aware, you may need to cut longer lengths to have that fuller look. So next thing we need to decide is which ribbons are we going to put with which color mesh. And I usually like to do a lot of contrast, so I'm going to use the pink and red polka dot with the red stripe on the pink and the gingerbread on the red and white. So we're going to start on the bottom row, and we're going to put our bow tie right down exactly as we've rolled it up and clipped it. And then we're going to take these ties and give them a twist. Now we're going to take our ribbon, because I think it's easier to do it all at once. We're going to fold it in half so we find the middle. We're going to scrunch that up. And twist that in. And then take that ribbon and curl it towards you, towards the outside of the wreath. Because as we work, it's going to tend to push this outside layer down. Okay, let's take our red and white. Same deal. Put it in, give it a couple twists. Take our ribbon, I guess this right here, fold it in half, scrunch it in the middle, and twist tie it off. Now, I'm not sure until my wreath is finished if I am going to add ornaments in here, if I'm going to put a bow. So I'm going to leave my ties long and not cut them. Then you want to fuss with your ribbon. So the middle pieces that aren't curled, will want to stick together, and to get your wreath to look nice and thick, you want to just marry those up together like this. All right, I'm gonna keep going around. I'll bring you back when I have the first row completed, and we'll talk about how you do the second row. All right, we have all of our outside ribbons and curls, woodland ruffles on. So all of the ribbons at this point, and you'll fiddle when you get all done to get it looking just like you want, but they're actually going out. Now we're going to open up our remaining ties on the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 remaining. Now, you're going to use basically the same process that you used for the bottom, but you don't want to smash this too much. So let's start here, and I'm going to put a pink in first. Now here's where it becomes different. When you place your ribbons, we are going to do it a little bit different. So we're going to actually crisscross these ribbons. So once you've tied it in, we're going to take one ribbon and go up, and the other ribbon and go down. And this will help to hide your wreath frame and give your wreath, as you see, like a lot of fullness. So let's go to the next one. And you're going to do the same thing as far as linking, if you will, your ruffles together. I'll show you that just in a moment. So what you want to do is the curl goes towards the center, and then just pair up the mesh along the straight part or the gathered part. And we'll add our ribbon. Now I'm actually going to cut the ties off, I think, at this point. Yeah, maybe I'll just wait. I'm going to change my mind here. So as you see, we have sort of an X pattern with our ribbons. So I'm going to finish this up. I will bring you back to show you what it looks like when all of the pieces are on and what the next steps are. So if you get some fraying with your mesh, I just cut off anything that looks unattractive and dispose of it. The less you handle the mesh, the better. All right, I'll bring you back in a moment. Okay, here is our wreath. Let me tip up here a little bit. So from the side, you can see it's 2 layers. From the back, it still looks very neat. And it's actually quite lightweight. That's one of the advantages. So here is the sign, which we will be adding to the middle. But I think I forgot to tell you one tool we need. And that is a wire cutter to cut off these extra ties. So what I like to do, and I'm going to cut the inside ones first, is cut them one at a time. And then just bend the wires back so that they don't show, and refluff your ribbon. So it would have been easier to do this as I went along. The reason I didn't, and let me show you what my thought was, I purchased some of these 98-cent ornaments from Walmart. Gosh, that doesn't do it justice. It has a lot of sparkles, etc. And I was gonna put them on the wreath, but with the sign and the fluffiness and all the colors, I think it's too much. So I have the option of using those in a different way, or I can return them to Walmart, whichever way. So just work your way around and cut off your ties And I don't have the strength to cut 2 at once. If you had a big wire cutter, you probably could. But go ahead and cut off all of your inside ties. And then we're going to add something to our bottom layer. We're going to make some mini bows. Yeah, Frank. For those of you who don't know or who are new to my channel, Frankie is my 9-year-old Seal Point Himalayan cat who does talk. And he says, Mom, Mom, hi, hello, and meow. So, yeah, he always has a lot to, yeah, you have a lot to say, don't you, buddy? All right, I'm going to continue around just cutting off these. And so I'm just ending up with these little pieces, which I will dispose of. And then I'll bring it back and show you how we're going to create some little mini bows around the outside and attach our sign and maybe make a bow for this wreath. Stay tuned. All right, this is my favorite part, and that is doing the final embellishments. So what I've done is I've cut actually 5 pieces of ribbon that are 16 inches long. And we're gonna make little bows out of this striped ribbon to attach here on the bottom. So it's so easy, guys. So I'm gonna turn it so that the right side is away from me, so ugly side up if you wanna call it that. Then I'm gonna fold them, with, okay, let's see, 1.5 inch overlap. Turn it back over, so now I have my right sides facing. Pinch it in the middle, and then I'm just going to take, on the first row where we did not cut off the ties yet, I'm gonna twist them in, and I know y'all can't really see this. And let me cut off the excess. You got to make the right facial expressions. And one word, guys, if you're making this as a gift or even for your own front door, you do want to make sure you don't leave any wire where it would scratch the finish on the door. So here's what we have. If you, oh, wow, okay, right there. See the 2 loops? So the star of the show is always your inner ribbons show much more than your underneath ribbons because they're pushed down. So putting the little bows is just super cute. And yeah, I need to stop fussing with it and just finish up. So I'm gonna put the bows all the way around where I have the striped ribbon. On the ties where we have the gingerbread people, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut those and wind them back into the wreath so that they aren't going to scratch the door. You know, every time I do this, I try to cut 2 at once, and then I'm like, I know I can't do that. But this is such an exciting part of the wreath where it really starts to come together. I guess I get anxious. So you could do mini bows all the way around. I think it's prettier if you just do them, like pick one accent ribbon to do. So let me finish this up and then we'll come back and we will work on maybe a bow, but we'll definitely assemble the sign. Okay guys, let's make a beautiful bow for our gorgeous wreath. So I have here before me, and I will leave links to all of this in the description box to my Amazon affiliate site. This is the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker, and it looks super simple. Do you have to have one of these? You do not. This side is where, if your ribbon is on a spool, you would put your spool to unwind it to make your bow. It has inch markings on here so that you can make both your loops and your tails of your ribbon equal lengths. And then I'm going to turn this sideways. You see it has a peg here that leans in, and then these 2 are where you slide the ribbon in between. So this actually keeps it pushed up together. When you buy this, it comes unassembled, and you do need like a rubber mallet. You want to get those pegs in there firmly. It's pretty tight at first. It does loosen up as you start to fill up and make the bow bigger. So one problem that I have with wreath making is that I have a lot of odds and ends left over. I don't mind the ribbon so much as the mesh, because if you only have like this much mesh left, what are you going to do with it? I may make a summer rainbow one day. So what we're going to do here is we are going to use all 4 of our ribbons to make a big, beautiful bow. I'm going to show you how to do it. You will need a zip tie and a pipe cleaner and your ribbon. That's all you need. So I'm going to start out here by measuring out about 8 inches for the tail, and you want to slide it in between here and push it down firmly. Now, if I started making the bow, the pretty would be inside, so you're going to have to twist your ribbon, and then I would like about a 6-inch loop. So let me just measure, and you can measure right on here, measure out a 6-inch loop. And now we're faced with the same problem. This is going to be wrong side up, so we're going to twist again. And this is where the bow maker comes in so handy. It's very difficult for me to hold like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll measure out 6 this way. I think I have enough. I want to make a big poofy bow, guys, and just to show you how to do it, even if I don't end up using it on the wreath, but I think I will. Okay, turn it again. Slide it through. Turn again. Lots of turning. Slide it through to 6 inches. And then we have our tail, which we can cut these off to be even. And I just threw all my wire on the floor. So let's go ahead. You know what? That is not even, is it? No, it's not. So then you want to go ahead and fold it in half. And I'm just cutting from the wired edge, not through the wire, but from the tip of the wired edge in. And we have beautiful points on our bow. Okay, next ribbon. I'm gonna go with the red next. And this is our 1.5 inch. And I'm gonna leave a longer tail. Let me measure this out. Let's do about a 10-inch tail, and I'll show you why as we finish up our bow. And there is a right and a wrong side to this. One thing, if you twist your ribbon, it really does help that ribbon have sort of a firmer foundation. It makes it a little easier to fluff your bow. So I'm gonna, even though it probably wouldn't show, I am gonna twist it. I'm doing 6-inch loops, and I'm gonna eyeball my tail to be about the length of the last. So hardly any of that left. Like I said, I don't mind the ribbon because you can use it for packaging, or when y'all order something from me, I like to tie a little ribbon sometimes around the packing paper, so it's the mesh I don't know what to do with. Okay. So far we have, turn it around so y'all can see, we have our polka dots and we have our red. Now the real star of the show, of course, is the gingerbread. And I'm gonna tell you, this might bother you, but your gingerbread tails, one, the gingerbread people will be upside down, and one, they will be right side up. There is a way to fix that. So I'm gonna fix that. I don't like that. So what you would do is go ahead, leave a little bit, because we're gonna zip tie this, leave a little bit sticking out, and then I'm going to cut it off at about 8 inches, and there is a measuring guide here. Or you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm gonna actually cut it at the bottom here, and I'm gonna go ahead and dovetail. And this will prevent having upside down and right side up gingerbread people. So now I'm gonna make my loops, and I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller. Again, I'm gonna have to leave a tail because that's gonna have to be tied with that zip tie. And I'm gonna go about 5 inches. And y'all can't see it, but there's measure guides even that go down the side so you can tell what you're doing. And we'll have to twist. Now you do have an option here. It depends on what you like. So when you're doing this bow, the gingerbread people are facing towards the middle, but you can turn it all the way over if you want all your gingerbread people going the same direction. I like them going out. Okay, so we're gonna twist. I think I've got enough for, I hope, for a double loop. Twist. Boy, we are going to use it all up, yay. And then our tail is right side up. How about that? So let me just cut it off to be even. We'll give it a dovetail. So let me pose a question to you while I work. I'm just gonna do the same thing, guys, with this striped ribbon. I'm really curious about videos and what y'all like. Do you prefer shorter videos, or do you mind the longer videos? I always say, oh, I'm gonna make them shorter this time. Well, guys, just with doing instruction, it can be really tough to do them short and include everything I want to include. So drop me a comment below. Would you like me to do a combination of short and long, or does it really matter? Okay, so our ribbon is finished. Now we need to get it off of here and onto the wreath. So the first thing we're gonna do is just take a plain old zip tie. I'm gonna slide it under all the ribbons, maybe. Here we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and latch it, but I'm not gonna pull it super tight because we need to do a few things before we pull it up tight. You wanna lift your bow from underneath, and this can be a little bit challenging depending on your hand strength. Okay, so you see the nice crease down the middle of this bow. I'm going to simply turn my zip tie around so that it'll be cinched in the back. But before I cinch it, I'm going to stick a pipe cleaner through because we need something to attach the bow to the frame. So I'm gonna cinch it tight, and gosh, don't even need the scissors for that. Now, to make your bow fluffy, what you wanna do is start at the back, put your hand inside each loop, twist and pull. Twist and pull. So this kind of breaks it loose from the center, makes your bow really nice and fluffy, allows you to place each of the ribbon colors where you most want them. And using a clear zip tie, you really won't see it once you get your bow fluffed up and get it on the wreath. Okay, this one's kind of wonky. That's because I twisted it. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Keep your ties. You can just curl them around your hand, but keep them towards the bottom. We're going to do the same process for the other side. So, you know, I was thinking as I was taking a little break before I started the ribbon, I thought, you know, this is really super simple. It's really cutting, rolling, and twisting. There's nothing hard about the wreath making. And actually, guys, if I wasn't telling you what I was doing, I can make a wreath like this pretty much in an hour. It does not take that long. Ooh, that one is way longer than the other. Let me adjust that just a little bit. There we go. So there is a little bit of room for adjustment, but believe me, not a lot. Okay, so once you have your ribbon kind of fluffed up the way you want it, you can choose where on your wreath you want to put it. And there is our big, beautiful bow. For the tails of the 1.5" ribbon, you can just wind it around your thumbs like this, and then pull it out to the side. And as I shared, Hardworking Mom has a YouTube channel, and I will leave the link to it. Guys, she does great instruction, very patient. If you get on one of her lives, no matter if the same question's asked 50 times, she will straight up answer it. So lovely lady, and certainly Hardworking Mom fits. She has boys that she homeschools. She's a CPA. She has this business, and just a lovely lady all the way around. All right, so there we have it. Now we need to decide on our wreath how we want to place things. So do we want the bow to the side? You could do it at the top. You can do it at the bottom. And same with our sign. So do we want the sign in the middle with the bow to the side, with a bow to the bottom? And actually, I think this is the way I want to do it. So let's first attach our ribbon. And all you need to do is slide those pipe cleaner ends through the wreath frame, not the rame, and you want to secure it round and round. And you don't want to pull so tight that you end up pulling your bow down in your wreath. You want it to still have all the fluff and prettiness. I've lost a loop somewhere. Here we go. So this is definitely, guys, an over-the-top, really foofy wreath. You don't have to add this ribbon. I love the foofy over-the-top. So here's where we are. We have that bow, and I will give you a full shot, hang it up on a door before we end the video. Next, we're going to work on our sign. So what I've done here is I've cut two fairly long pieces of 26 gauge wire, and we need to put holes in the sign, and then we need to mount the sign into the wreath. And I just realized I'm missing an item I need, so hold on just a second. This little tool is what we're going to use to punch a hole in the sign. And you could probably eyeball it unless you're me, in which case I worry about getting it off center. So let me just put a tiny dot here on either side. Okay. Just make sure when you punch your hole that you don't get it too close to the edge. You don't want to pull through the sign. So I'm going just above this little border, and the hole is so tiny, I'll show you in just a moment. You will never see it. So there you go. It's a tiny, tiny little hole. And if you want to take off your, well, you shouldn't spit wash. But I used Sharpie and just want to get that black dot off. Okay, now I've got 24 inches. 20 is usually standard. I just eyeballed it, so I was pretty far off. Of the 26 gauge wire, which is a very fine wire. Pull it through, meet your ends together, and then rotate your sign. So we're just strengthening that hold. Do the same for the other end. And the wire I happen to have on hand is green, but I'm telling you, in the big scheme of things, you won't notice it. It will be non-obtrusive, but you can certainly match your wire to your sign or your wreath. Okay, now how are we going to get this on our wreath? this little plastic needle is called a weaving needle. And I'm telling you, I bought a pack of 6 and I have found all sorts of uses for them. Pardon me. On Amazon. So what you want to do is just thread your needle. Okay, bend it over, and you can go straight through the mesh. It will not hurt the mesh to the frame. And I'm just pulling it through here. Now, just like with the bow, you don't want to smash your sign back into your wreath, or I don't like it that way. So I'm actually going to pull them both through, and then I will wind them around and around, and we will take a look at, got a funky kink in that one, what our finished wreath is going to look like. Okay. I'm hooked on something here. Not sure what, probably that funky bend. Just clip it, there we go. All right, and then you can just wire your wires to the wire frame. That's a lot of wires in one sentence. And that's exactly what I do. Again, be mindful that you don't want to leave anything that will scratch someone's door, or your door for that matter. Cut that off. And this wire's pretty fine. I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to do much scratching, but just to be on the safe side, we're gonna do the same thing here. And these signs, Lori has a lot of them on her website. All kinds of really cute Christmas ones. I confess, I probably bought more signs. Very reasonably priced too. And when she does her kits, she does have a kit subscription. They create their own signs. I'm not sure what program they're using, but it's really cool because it's like custom matched. And I just love that. So that now that you've got your sign on, you want to start your fiddling. And let me kind of straighten out all my tails and fluffs and everything else. And I will bring back to show you what the final looks like. So stay tuned. Well, here is our absolutely stunning finished wreath. It is quite thick, and I'm actually going to use this, as I said, in my dining room. I'm thinking I wanted it as a table centerpiece, but I may put it in the window as an accent. I don't know, but I am in love. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to go out, visit Lori over at Hardworking Mom. Look at her website if you have interest in wreath making. Our upcoming seminar, which starts tomorrow, includes a mesh wreath, a grapevine wreath, an evergreen wreath, and then another wooden thing that I'm not sure what we're going to do with. So I will have 4 products completed. Obviously don't need 4 more wreaths, but I mean, can you really have too many wreaths? I have a lot of doors and windows, so I'm sure I'll find a use for them. But stay tuned, I may end up selling some of them. So if you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and smash that like button. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Love reading each and every one of them. And as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I will see you all next week. Take care.